Hello, we're in Springfield, Massachusetts, and we're going to do a cemetery tour today. It's at Parker Street, and what we're going to do is Hillcrest Park Cemetery. Probably made in the year 1924, so this is the 100th anniversary of the cemetery. All right, they call it a park cemetery, so it's in a rural style cemetery tradition, also called the garden style cemetery tradition. The roads are winding through here, and there's lots of gardens and lots of interesting buildings inside of it. And we're in front of a very special building. It's a mausoleum. If you want to be buried in the mausoleum, then you can be buried inside of there, inside vaults. And that's what it all is. It's not one family, it's anyone that wants to be in there can be buried in there. So that sounds wonderful, because it is. And then there's gates in front of us. These are the main entrance gates. There are a second set on Parker Street also, and they're dedicated to a certain person by their mother. And there's a lot of dedication monuments within this cemetery. Now, interestingly enough, there's another second cemetery right in front of us, and we're going to have a stop in there. It's beyond that line of trees. It's called the Maplewood Cemetery. But this is the Hillcrest Park Cemetery. And we're going to go around as much of it as we possibly can. If you want to be cremated, there's a crematoria right behind the mausoleum with the same look as the mausoleum itself. Alright, so this is a cemetery made so that if you're going to be buried here, you have to be buried with a stone that's flat into the ground, the same size as everyone else. You have to do that if you want to be buried here. This portion here is called the Oak Grove Garden of Bronze. There's a big oak tree up there. It was named after that. And in the middle, there's a sundial. We'll try to go by it. But notice all the benches around, because it's a garden style cemetery, a park, and a lot of benches around. So you can come here and sit down. It's intended to be a park that happens to be a cemetery. And all the stones are flat, so you can wander around, and they encourage that. This is one of the few cemeteries that would actually encourage you to come and walk around. And there's lots and lots of trees. We're in the month of May, about May 10th. So when the flowers is not very high yet. And right inside there is a sundial, or a sun clock. You can tell the time by using that. The whole cemetery is going to look very much the same, except for these monuments put up. So if you're a gravestone lover, you might be disappointed. If you're a park lover, you may be happy. There's so many pieces. There's this enormous cemetery. There's way over 15,000 burials, probably 20,000. It's only been around 100 years, and it's already getting lots of burials. But there's also a lot of empty space. And this part back here is mostly empty. So they do it in a nice fashion. They don't put any stone in particular order. They put them with the orientation east to north, or other orientations. They try to make everything look different, and they've done a fabulous job with that intent. Okay, notice the mound over there, which very much look like old cemetery mounds, and the intent is to replicate the kind of features you might find in certain other cemeteries, but make the burials look the same. And they've done a great job. And to our right also is what is called a cremation garden. Okay, and then there's an outdoor gazebo. And then there's another Masonic column over here. There's two in the cemetery. The one out front is enormous. The one back here not quite as large. Okay, and back here you also have what's called a sunken garden, and that means it's still a garden, but a lot of it's below the surface of the water. So at times the pond that's over, you can actually see the pond over there, that rises up, and it actually waters the different kinds of plants they put in. And it has a beautiful bridge. So this pond feeds all these kind of plants that they put in. So it's a very natural looking environment. And so when you come through here, you think, oh, this is a park. No, it's a cemetery by the end. Okay, and they put all these little monuments up for different reasons. And I think that's wonderful. And yes, there's some burials back here. So you can always ask them, can I be buried in this section, this section? Some sections are a lot of people, some sections have absolutely no people yet. Okay, now you're probably wondering about this tower. Why would they put a tower in the middle of a cemetery? Well, it's a monument. The parents of a son, or a person, a young man, they erected this for their son. And it's very high. It looks about almost 100 feet high, right? It's made out of limestone. Now, in the top of it, there are clarion-style bells. I think there's 26 of them. So they can make very unique bell-style music. And I'm sure they do during certain funerals. And that's probably why they put it in. Okay, one more section to show you. We're almost done. In the distance, you see the maintenance buildings where they have all the supplies way back there. They have a little outdoor garden over, so it looks like a bit of a rock garden. Well, when you see that little rock garden, it's actually a water fountain inside there. So in the summer months, you can see a fountain going up. So it's a cool thing. Okay, and the last feature to show you on this general tour, and we're going to have specific stops within the cemetery. Out towards the corner is the administration building. That's to the left, and it has its own entrance back there. All right, and it also has a nice gate. Now, that's pretty much it. I hope you get out and appreciate all the wonderful trees around. And there's another mound over to our left, and that is something very special, and that's where we're going to end our tour, because when you approach it, it's something rather special. And like I mentioned, it's at the end of our loop, because we're coming back to the mausoleums and the gates. And what do you see? You see an outdoor clock. Right? And what they do in June, they put flowers inside of each section of it. And I wonder if it works. It looks like it works. All right? And that's wonderful. So you can actually tell the time by looking at this outdoor clock. Okay, so thank you for coming along.